Hello everyone and welcome to the highlights of the Nations Cup Season 2. So this is basically a group up of highlights of all the action from Season 2 in the Nations Cup. As you can see, first round we're at Nürburgring GP in Group 3 cars. So I chose the Corvette here, mainly because we've got a GTA livery that Bishop made. And there's some quite big names in this. You can see Moira in the lead there, Fuvras in there, Ruffle Waffle, Rick. Derek's in there as well. I'm down in 6th place. I'm fighting side by side with Skippy at the moment, trying to go around the outside, and we're staying side by side as we continue on towards this left-hander. Got to be so careful here. Now, of course, I picked the Chevrolet in this sort of situation because it's all about fuel saving quite a lot in these races. And yes, the 911 is good, which is in the lead, but the Chevrolet is also very good on fuel saving, so it's a well worthwhile car to use. Obviously, you're then going to say, is speed better than the fuel saving, which is the 911 Chevrolet Battle. As you see, Derek goes to the right hand side. Not sure whether he had a 10-second penalty or what. Even so, we gain a position from that, which is all very well and good. And you can see we keep him with the lead pack, which is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to just stay here for the first stint and then sort of look to try and make the moves in the pits as we come out to then have a final race as we continue on through the Schumacher S. All very well and good. I'd say this is the highlights of the video. Obviously there's a little bit of highlights at the start of this race, which is why we've not jumped on further into the race. And as you can see, the side-by-side action happening all the time up in front of us. So this was before we started live streaming as well, of course, because after this round we started live streaming some of the Nations Cup. Now round 2, which is after this race, we didn't have, well, we do have on YouTube, but it's very bad quality because obviously that was the first stream we did and it was bad quality, so that's not going to be shown here. But I will briefly mention where I came there. But as you can see, we're still keeping up with our pack, just saving fuel with Skippy here. Obviously Skippy goes to the inside, but he's going to clip this barrier and I hit him. But I'm going to get a 2-second penalty here, and I'm also going to lose a position to Matu, which is really frustrating. I don't know why I got the 2-second penalty, because obviously I didn't do anything there. Skippy had already spanned by the time I got to him, and I didn't want to lose that time, so I lost a huge bunch of time to the pack in front, which of course means I lose slipstream, and then behind Matu in the Ferrari. Now the Ferrari is a weaker car compared to the 911 and the Chevrolet here, so I was always going to struggle at this point to try and catch up back up to Rick, Ruffle, Moira and Fuvras to try and compete for that victory. And of course we need good points here because of the way Nations Cup works. Obviously by round 4 it's the top 3 UK guys with the most points that get in that top 24 race, and that's the one with the most points in. So we continue on later on in the lap. As you can see, we're just staying behind Matu at this point. Again, I'm just thinking, okay, fuel save, you go for it, Matu. I'll just stay here. I'll try and fuel save as best as I possibly can. Leaving this corner, Matu's going to just clip his left rear tyre on that grass and go for a spin. And now I'm in the middle of nowhere. I've got no slipstream in front of me. I've got to try and save fuel at the same time, as well as try and catch up to some Porsches, which are sort of pulling the other Chevrolets along. As you see, we advance towards the end. We don't really gain anything. We get an alright amount of points, 2,250, which is a good start really in the grand scheme of it. We're the second UK guy there. A couple of UK guys did better in other splits, but that's the nature of the split. So we go to round 3 this time. As I just said, round 2 is going to be missed. And this was the Bugatti. Well, actually, it was actually Group 4 at Monza, but obviously that means Bugatti Veyron Fest, as we've got here. I did see a couple of Citroens being used, but even so we got pole position, which is excellent. It's exactly what we needed. Round 2 we only got 1,892 points, so we needed a bloody brilliant result here. So starting in pole position was exactly where we wanted to be. Try and get the result, try and get out of these corners very quickly, try and pull a gap and try and get that victory. We advanced a lap already to lap number 2. Of course, this is where action is going to kick off, and as you can imagine about where we're approaching, you can sort of guess maybe what's going to happen or maybe not. Who knows? Because of course you're probably going to think it's the sausage curbs, but what actually happens is my TV decides to switch off. So it's on power saving mode at the moment, so it's got a countdown. So now I'm looking for my remote. If you notice, I'm looking around. I can't believe how funny this looks actually. I'm looking around for my remote, so obviously it's very off-putting. I then run slightly wide at Lesmo 1. Again, I'm back on track. Again, I'm looking round as we accelerate. A86 gets past me. And then we continue on. So it's probably not the situation we were expecting. I finally see the remote. I'm trying. I don't know how I get this on track and racing. I'm still in third after grabbing the remote. So now this has just gone drastically wrong. And we've suddenly got a load of work to do out of nowhere because I think we're in quite a south position. Obviously, my rhythm has completely gone. I just did like a quarter of a lap looking behind me. But we've got a lot of work to do now. We've got to get past A86 as fast as we can and try and catch up to Alex Oni. So here we go. A86, we're on a lap further on again, and we're approaching Ascari. So the whole point of Ascari, really, you've got to have to get a nice slow entry into a very fast exit. You just see A86 ran a little bit wide there, lost the rear, so now goes to the left, I'm going to the right. Potentially, maybe should have stayed to the right. Now on stream, I was like, get out of the way, get out of the way. A86 mentioned afterwards, basically said, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hold you up. Honestly, I just say in my heart at the time, so you're not holding me up, you're racing, you're entitled to that second position, you fight for that second position, so shout out to that guy. Honestly, really well raced, he defended well for that lap, but obviously I can only show you a limited amount of highlights, otherwise this video would be an hour long. And that's a bit further on now to lap number 6. Obviously this is the pit-in lap because we're just over half. The Bugatti Veyron, obviously you can see, is not struggling for fuel. It is struggling on its front left tyre, but that's the only little bit it's struggling on really. As we come through this section, just ran slight bit of understeer there. Coming out that corner, BFR Devil, got a very good run. Goes to the left, so I'm going to do what I thought A86 should have done and stay to the right hand side. For defensive purposes, of course, but I'm going in the pits so I can come back over, no problem. At that point, I've lost the position. I'm going to come in the pits. Hopefully, I've got more fuel. If BFR Devil has been pushing very hard, I should actually have the advantage. As we head towards the pits now, and into the pits we go, and then out the other side. And here we go, lap number 8. So we're going to obviously see BFR Devil come out on the right side there. Unfortunately, we just haven't done enough on those laps to get ahead. Obviously, if it was FIA rules there, we'd have had to go a bit further on the white line. But of course, we don't have that white line in the Nations Cup at the moment. Obviously, at the finals you do. We just run slightly wide there, trying to push too hard out the chicane. So I can see first place slipping away from me. As we go a bit further on, you can see another Portuguese guy there. He was just coming in for a much later pit stop. He let BFR Devil go there, I think. Obviously, he's on a different strategy. If you are trying to save fuel or jump somebody or overcut, undercut, you try and make sure you minimise your time loss so that you gain those positions. Because if you're coming in the pits, you're not fighting for those positions. So he goes to the right, I go to the left. I'm just going to get that slipstream. I think he realises that straight away does Tommy Kuhn. So fair play there, just lets off, gets rid of his penalty at the same time, which is very smart move. Obviously saves him time in the long run. Into the parabolic we go and round, and then we're going to chase BFR Devil. So we do still want second position if we can get it. So we continue on. I'm not sure why BFR Devil was using his hazards there. Not sure whether I was lagging slightly or what. It didn't seem like I was lagging that much. There was a tiny bit of movement in cars, nothing major. You just saw that little bit there, which I guess is why you whack the hazards on. But I'm very well aware of what's happening around me. Go towards the inside, into the braking zone. I just outbrake him slightly. Ooh, you just saw the orange glow of the brakes there. Into the first chicane. We stop on the apex as we're entitled to do. I say stop, go very slow on the apex. It just stops any form of undercut which can happen at that chicane, and we continue on. Obviously it's lap number 11, so we're going to come towards the line and finish in second place. Now obviously due to the round 2 issue, round 2 by the way was just literally bad qualifying, bad car choice, we came where we did. This round we got 2,086 points. We really needed the extra 200 points that Alex Oni got. Unfortunately we didn't get that, so this is round 4. Now round 4 was the top 24 Superstars race. Obviously this isn't the top 24 Superstars lounge. We didn't make it. So at this point I was just racing for fun. Group 1, I picked the 919 over the old Audi Le Mans car there because as you can see the hybrid system is nuts. I didn't practice that much and I wanted to get ahead of everybody so I didn't have some like crazy person who I don't know who may crash more often than not attack me on the first corner and suddenly I get hit off. I wanted a nice smooth race, try and get a first position, try and get some points, and perhaps maybe try and sneak in to the top 24s in the final round if somebody makes a mistake. As you can see, we pull a gap quite quickly and we jump right to lap number 5, and the gap has stayed about the same. However, I think this car may use its tyres slightly more than the other car. So obviously when tyre wear gets in, brought in a little bit, especially with the hybrid system, you get a little bit more wheel spin. you're then going to start to struggle with turning and things like that. So this is where the Audi LMP car, the non-hybrid version, comes into its own, because it's like an absolute rocket ship. If you watch it now on the straight, even without slipstream, it will fly past. And I saw this at Le Mans when I was testing at Le Mans for something else. I mean, look at that, it just absolutely flies past. It's got a huge speed advantage over the hybrids. So into here we go, and then out again. And initially we'll get the gain on the Audi, then it'll get even, and then the Audi will suddenly streak ahead. It really has some amazing top head speed. However, we are 1.8 seconds ahead of BFR Devil, so fortunately in that situation we've got no more slipstream behind us, and potentially we can try and pull away a little bit more and to try and keep the second position, because of course if we can at least get a decent result here, we're on for a good result in Nations and potentially maybe nicking a spot. So we're going to come in the pits at this point. So 41 for Calster on fuel. I've only got 35. Hero Cram had 39. He was right behind me as well. So unfortunately we actually are going to lose a spot in the pits, down to third place. Now frustratingly that's all we could do really, because the Audi is better at fuel saving of course, because it's diesel I assume, and then you can short shift and do whatever you like, especially on the straights when it just flies past everything and you're on the rev limiter. Maybe I should have fuel saved more, I don't know, but even so I was going to struggle no matter what against these Audis. It did seem like the faster car, and it's the one that won the top 24 Superstars as well. M. Thomas won that, really dominated that race as well, did M. Thomas, so shout out to him. However, we do come third, so top 3 for the UK in this particular lobby in Split. Not too bad. As you can see there, Calster did a fantastic job, as did Hero Cram. And we got 2,457 points in this lobby, so quite a significant lobby. Calster must have got a fair old amount there, like 2,700. And we go to Brands Hatch for this round. Now this was an interesting round. This is round 5. This is Group 3 at Brands Hatch. And I'd just done that day the bot test for this car, this Volkswagen. So I just finished it and I wanted to concentrate on the racing to try and get somewhere, because Matty had a bad result in the top 24, so I knew there was a possibility I could qualify. Fortunately, as you can see by this lobby and the left hand side, there's some quite strong names in this, so it's quite a significant lobby in terms of points. And I chose this car in particular because it's fairly quick here. It's not the fastest by no means, it's got quite a bit of understeer. However, it's very fast in a straight line and it fuel saves like an amazing amount when you're not even fuel saving. Max attack in this car, you save more fuel than a 911 by 2 laps. It's unbelievable. Or it might be a lap at Brands, it's 2 laps at another circuit which we'll get to later on. You can see I'm catching Fotherras up extremely quickly in this car on the straights. It's a very quick car on the straights, this Volkswagen Vision Gran Turismo car. So I stick in this car. We get advanced a bit further on in the race. As you can see, I'm still with Fotherras on lap 3, starting to pull away a little bit. This is where the understeer of the tyres is being affected. The Porsche 911 gets a bit more turning, can handle itself a little bit more, but I was hoping that the fuel saving here would help me. If you look behind, forced, it would be, unfortunately gets forced off by VP Engia, I want to say. But that had me worried my entire stint about being knocked off, to be honest. Fortunately, I didn't get knocked off by any lag. His connection improved and mine actually become 3 bars. So we come in with 23 fuel. I think Fotherras nearly saved the same amount. So I wasn't fuel saving the entire of that. Fotherras was obviously fuel saving. Manages to do very well there. Gets a decent gap there, 3 seconds. Now Ascaru goes up ahead, but he's just stayed out 1 lap longer. Obviously going for the overcut from wherever he was racing. Come towards the line, of course. Fotherras has just dominated this race. Really big shout out to Fotherras. It was a really dominated performance. I've come second. Williams Coke in 3rd place. Again, very good performance, putting pressure on me at the end there. That's why I'm smiling. And we got a big amount of points there, 2,737. This put me right in the thick of it for the top 24 Superstar qualifications. I don't think I was making it at the moment, but I was very, very, very close, as you see by the points. Now you might hear my voice slightly in the background of this. This is because the stream didn't capture properly and I just changed my microphone, so that's the reason why, so apologies for that. But even so, as you can see, we're all in KTM Crossbows and we're at Willow Springs. This is round 6. So we got a 2nd place thanks to the person on the stream who suggested Traction Control 1. I did use Traction Control 1, straight into the lead, and off we go. And you can see a couple of people behind as well using Traction Control. Big advantage there off the line. Now, interestingly, this race is going to be about fuel saving, of course, because it's a slipstream fest, and this car, you rev it quite a lot as well. So it's always going to be interesting. It was always going to be action-packed as well, because the cars are very similar. It's the same car. It's a very fast-flowing circuit. It's a road car. There's not huge speeds involved. So I've always said this: the slower your car, the closer the racing will be. And there's a 4 of us here that do end up fighting quite a bit. So there's myself, Hirokram once again, TRL Aug, and OP34. Now, coming through here, we're still in the lead. Hirokram right behind me. I knew Hirokram would be saving a lot more fuel than me being behind me as we come into this left-hander. Now, I just get this slightly wrong. You can just see I've ran a little bit too wide. Go onto the gravel. Now, you have to straighten up very quickly there to avoid spinning, which I do. Hirokram does a great move there, sort of the cutback sort of thing. With TRL Aug also going through there. At this point, I'm not too worried because I can use that to my advantage, save a bit more fuel, and hopefully that would get me the time lost that I potentially would have had in the lead. As you see, as going towards this last corner. This last corner was very tricky. This is also the first race with my new wheel. So during this race in particular, I got the TGT out. Prior to this, I was on the Fanatec CSL Elite. So we continue towards lap number 6 now, and this is where I started to lose feeling in the wheel of the car. I mentioned this on stream. I couldn't tell what the car was doing. I couldn't tell where the oversteer was or not. Now I think this might be actually just a thing with the car, because it looked like other people were struggling as well, but obviously with a new wheel at the same time, I was struggling quite a bit. Obviously I'm thinking, is it the wheel, is it me, what's going on? So OP34 gets a good run there from my mistake on that last corner. I dropped down to 4th place. And you can watch all these races, by the way. This race in particular was very, very close throughout, so do check it out on the live streams if you want to go back and watch the full race. Very interesting stuff, and obviously I'm communicating all the time on these live streams. We continue on to lap number 11 now, so obviously this is where it's going to get action-packed because everybody's now racing to try and get these positions. And I'd stayed back a little bit, obviously, because you save fuel, you go in the pits, you come out, you see where you are, and then you attack. As long as you're in the slipstream in this race, you're fine. You're in with a chance of winning. So I wasn't worried at this point. I knew TRL Aug wouldn't escape because we're all fairly similar on pace. Through there we go. Hirokram just touching his right wheel there on that gravel. That forces him into a mistake. Through we go into 3rd position. That's a good move there. You got to look out for these mistakes on this track. This is where Willow Springs is all about not making the mistakes. It's a race of attrition, basically. So, lap number 12, you see TRL Aug in front of us. We've got OP34 Dash in there as well. Hirokram gets an absolutely fantastic first corner. Unbelievable stuff. Gets really, really close. I go to the left. I thought Hirokram would stay behind me initially. Goes for the move on the inside initially. Now, at this point, I thought, okay, that's fair enough. It doesn't matter where you are sort of on this corner, you sort of stay the same because you're accelerating all the time. The tighter you are, the more the rear is going to come out in this crossbow as we head towards this left-hander. But Hirokam's then going to have the inside for that other corner. Brakes very late. A little bit too late, maybe ran a bit deep, but unfortunately for me, he still got his nose on that inside. So I went for the cutback here, knowing what was going to happen. Unfortunately, the rear came out at the complete wrong time, so I lost a lot of momentum there. And at that point, we need to catch up again to the first two, TRL Aug and OP34 Dash, which is exactly what we're going to do. Whew. So we go to lap number 15 and we're going to go all the way to the finish at this point. I'm going to show you what was happening. So you can see the battling up ahead. OP34 Dash had got into 1st. Hirokram had got into 2nd. TRL Aug down to 3rd. Perhaps had to save a little bit of fuel as well, of course, because he was running out in the lead for the majority of that 2nd stint. Fuel, obviously, it needs to be adjusted slightly as we come into the last corner and we begin our final lap. You can see my fuel is absolutely fine. OP34 Dash obviously made a mistake. I obviously scream yes on the live stream because I need as many positions as I can. I'm fighting for my life here to try and get into the top 24 Superstars race, which is round number 8. So coming into this first corner, you can see we're very, very close now. TRL Aug leading the way, Hirokram in 2nd place, I'm in 3rd place. Potentially I maybe should have made a move on that first corner to try and get myself into 2nd, but even so, we're still in a good place here. There's lots of slipstreaming still to happen. We potentially could gain another position. As we continue out this corner, you can see the battle of the oversteer there. You don't want to oversteer too much, you lose a lot of time in this car if you oversteer. Into this left-hander we go. Again, we don't want to make any mistakes here. Sorry if you can't hear the engine sound, by the way, that's because of the audio being a little bit messed up on this particular one. Into this right-hander we go. go. Again, we want to accelerate out here, not get the oversteer that we got earlier on when we tried to do the cutback with Hero Cram, and continue on. So you want to dab your wheel on the right, into the left, down to 72 miles an hour. Through there we go. Tyrrell out, just run slightly wide there. Has to be really, really careful because he could run too wide on the opposite side. So Hero Cram then he's got a slipstream. So I'm shouting on live stream, go for it, Hero, go for it, Hero, go for the move. Slowly both of you up, and that gives me a chance to get in on the action here, and as you see, that does happen. So Hero really on the far side, goes back to the racing line, coming into this corner again, looks to go on the inside. Obviously wants that race win as well. As we come into this final bit, you want to get into that dint, but they both run slightly wide. Hero even more so attacking, so I'm trying to get the slipstream for as most as I can and then let Hero on. I'm not sure what happened to Hero there where he lost a load of speed, but even so we got second place and another 2,400 points. At this point we are third in the UK. We're 13th overall in the Nations Cup, which means at this point we are on for the top 24 superstars. We needed a good result here. Now I knew before I started this race that Rothel had a bad race. Well, not a bad race, but he didn't improve on his points. So the only worry was Matty. Now Matty, if he gets a good result here, I think he needed about 2,600, 2,700 points, would overtake me. If I get a good result, I obviously improve my result, and then it's happy days. I need more than 2,200. Now, this is the one where initially it was a live stream, and then wasn't a live stream, and you've seen the highlights to this race already, but we're just going to go over the live stream part of it mainly, because you've not seen this from my perspective, you've just seen the replay camera. Fortunately, some of it did save as we advance to a lap later, because, hey, a lap later. Now, this is the Volkswagen Group 3 car again, the VGT, the one that reminds me of a Golf. And again, I chose this again because of the fuel economy. Oh, you just see Azorian go to make a mistake there. Right wheel, just lost it. So through we go. He's not going to fight Williams Coke either, because Jim and Williams are effectively a joint team. So we're in third position. So not a bad start, to be honest, in the grand scheme of it all. We could have had worse starts, but we're doing not too bad. Now, we've been putting pressure on Stefanzi for quite a few laps. He's really struggling in this Citroen GT car. Just not an Azorian's car, the Tenza. I think that was the best car overall, after watching the American region and seeing the Asia region results as well. But you can see we're quite consistent in this car, 131s. We look to go on the inside of Stefanzi up to here, but we back out of it again. It's a very hard corner to overtake without contact. Very, very difficult. You can see Stefanzi really struggling with his tyres here. So, I wasn't sure where Williams Coke was at this point, and I said that on stream, if the stream was still going at this point. So I gave him room on the right hand side there. I wasn't sure where his nose was, and I don't want to cut him up. I drive clean and fair, as you all know. Coming to here, I just had to watch out for Stefanzi there because of understeer. Williams Coke manages perfectly. It's a brilliant, brilliant move on me there. So he saw what was happening. Obviously understood my car at that point, where that it was understeering more than oversteering. So on that first corner, knew to do the cutback because he was on the outside onto the inside. Just did it with enough room to spare and got me. So big shout out for that move. I said that on the highlights video of this race. Absolutely brilliant move, as then he goes for the move on Stefanzi and actually pulls it off straight away. Look at that, big dive bomb. Azorian goes for a dive bomb on me. It doesn't let me back on, weirdly, so not sure what that was about. I said that as well on that highlights video. But through here we go. We're still side by side. We give Azorian a little bit of space on the left hand side as we come through this left, and unfortunately he just knocked me off a little bit there. Perhaps should have given me a tiny bit more space there, because that's essentially forcing the car off circuit. So he dropped down to 6th position. But that's not all in this race. As you're about to see, we're about to flick from the live stream sort of camera to a replay camera, because the live stream died. And then the very next lap, or it might have been the same lap actually, I can't remember now. I was coming to the chicane, obviously it dinged in my ear. The whole, I was concentrating on that a little bit. The problem with live streaming, you concentrate on that. I hit the sausage curb, that sent me flying. Fortunately, if you look on the TV camera, everyone's miles behind, so there was no issue there. We then ended up with another problem. The car wouldn't stop filling up with fuel. So as you can see there, I'm nearly ended up on full fuel tank. I eventually got it to stop, but we're miles behind where we should be now at this point. So we're coming out, and Aitor Laura is going to overtake me there. Good move on the outside round the first bend. Fair play. We get stuck behind Aitor Laura. So initially we're trying to sort out the streams. So I'm clicking, doing all sorts while racing on straights. Then I decide around lap 11, lap 12. Okay, I'm going to go for the race now. I need to gain at least 1 or 2 positions here. Just to keep my DR in check. So we go to lap number 14. As you can see, TNR Philo has caught up now as well. We've been pushing against Aitor Laura, not being able to make the move. That Corvette really struggling on its tyres as they come into the left-hander, as do we. So Philo going for the cutback initially. It's very hard to do on that corner. We get a little bit of wheel spin. You just see Philo on that wing mirror on the left-hand side. Through the S's we go. We'll call these the S's, or I'm not sure what we should call them. Obviously the corner after this we called the Wagwan, because that's what we called it in the live stream. Reminds me of Turkey Turn 8, which is just called Turn 8, so we've made our own name for it. But Aitor Laura is going to struggle through here, so this is where we can get our serious advantage. Look at the amount we gain on Aitor Laura there. So at that point they make a little bit of a mistake. They go defensive to the left, which is all very well and good. I go towards the right hand side. Philo, very, very smart, stays to the left as well, realises it's only too wide, if that, coming through here. So the best bet at this is probably to look at the TV camera more than anything. I get a slight bit oversteer, and I just clipped TNR Philo. Now, it's very, very close. Now, I'm one for fair racing. That's my mistake in the end of the day. The car oversteered on throttle. I wait for TNR Philo. So again, apologies to Philo. Philo obviously realised it was a mistake straight away, commented on it after the race. But a real unfortunate end to the race there in terms of high position, high result in this race. Shout out to Williams Coke again for winning that. Brilliant move on me, so that's a very good win there for him. But unfortunately then our race is completely over. So we go to the Nations Cup final and we made the top 24 superstars. Matty did not get enough. Matty had a similar experience to me, just had a bad race. Check out the names in this. So TRL Lightning on pole, 206.4, 206.6 for Zocchi, 206.7 for me. So I started third position in this top 24s, which is unbelievable stuff, to be honest. Suzuka, one of my favourite tracks, as you know. I'm very quick here, just in general. So where I lost time to Lightning, I lost 2 tenths in the first sector. I lost another tenth in the hairpin, another tenth and a half in Spoon. I then gained 2 tenths in the chicane, which was interesting. We had different strategies for the chicane, me and Lightning. Lightning was pure second, I was second to third for the exits. Personally, I think that was slightly quicker, but even so, you know, Lightning's like alien speed, so it's an unbelievable lap by Lightning to get 206.4. Faster than the Asia region, of course. I'm not sure what the Americas did, but even so, looking at this lobby, it's an unbelievable lobby, very, very strong. But at least we made the top 24s. This is being cast by Gran Turismo, of course. I'm assuming there'll be a video at some point. Nice little trick here for you. Fuel map 6 initially for the start, and then whack it back down to 1. I'm not sure whether that saves you fuel or not, but better be safe than sorry. So, top 24 superstars. Oof, I'm really out of breath from this. So, we start the race, and obviously this is going to be a bit of a fuel saving strategy at points because everyone's in the same car. It's very slipstream heavy, this car. As you can see already, we drop down to 6th gear and half throttle as we come into first turn there. Absolutely no problems. My aim of the game at this stage, and as I said in the live stream, I've got my own plan, my own strategy. Whack it up to fuel map 3, try and save as much fuel as I can in the S's, because this is where you can save a lot of fuel and not lose any time. You might lose a tenth, but a tenth in the grand scheme of it over the amount of fuel you potentially can save is worth it, especially with the slipstream. If you've got a guy in front of you, you will pull all that back on this left-hander. Continue on towards Tidgney 1 and Tidgney 2. As you can see, TX3 Adam not really pushing me too hard. So at this point, I was fairly happy with where I was as we now come into Tidgney 2. Now look up ahead. Lightning goes very wide. Zocchi goes wide as well. So I'm thinking, oh, hello, look at this. But where can I go? Zocchi to the left. Lightning was sort of to the right. I had to pull myself back in order to make sure there was no contact there. And I wasn't going to go for it. Now, if there was no fuel or tyre wear, I would have gone for that. But because there is fuel and tyre wear, I'm thinking of the long run at this point. How can I gain an advantage? So as long as I stick with them, that's absolutely fine. But as I find out later on, sticking with Lightning is very, very, very difficult because he is so fast. Unbelievably fast. I still need to get my pace up on the TGT, but even if I was at full pace, am I faster than Lightning? No, I'm not. I'd be a little bit closer than I am now, I would think. But even so, I'd like to be a bit further ahead. However, we're going to advance straight to the end of the race. So Lightning has ran away with it, really. I was catching Zocchi up, so I lost a little bit of time to Zocchi. Zocchi stayed in the Lightning slipstream a little bit longer than I stayed in Zocchi's. We went in the pits. We came out the pits. Zocchi was 1.5 seconds ahead, I think he was. We got that down to 7/10. We were pushing all the time, but unfortunately we didn't get second place. We ran out of fuel on the line. Even so, I will take that third place. Some unbelievable pace by Lightning, especially. Really good race with Zocchi. Some really decent racing, to be fair. I think it would have been better, that whole race, if it wasn't fuel and tyre wear, but yeah, we're using fuel and tyre wear. And as you can see, I'm in 6th position overall in Nations, 3rd in the UK. So out of the top 6, UK has half the positions, which is like bonkers. And you can see where my only failure in all of that was round 4, which where everybody else had the top 24 race, I didn't. So imagine if I had got an extra 4K points, I would have been in 3rd position, which is exactly where we want to be. Hopefully we can get the same sort of result in Season 3. Top 3 in the UK go to the regional finals. That's what we want to do. But that's it from the Nations Cup highlight video. Very long video, so I hope you enjoyed the action-packed video, because that's pure action, that entirety of it. My logo is there if you want to subscribe. My video playlist is there if you want to watch another one. Tune in to the live streams for the Nations Cup. I will bring you the highlights of the good races, of course, as videos separately. But that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you in the next video or live stream.